Good morning, everyone. Kate Bohr and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's Facebook Live, where we are going to dig into a very popular myth around imposter syndrome, and that is fake it till you make it. Now, we call BS on this one, and I think it's really interesting, right? Because on some level, our brain thinks it works, and the popularity of it tells us that there is value in it. So, yes, there is parts of this that is really helpful. I think what we want to share today is some different distinctions, some pieces around while fake it till you make it doesn't work, and perhaps offer you a different approach or way about starting to navigate through this imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a paradox, right? Because we've all had moments where probably we did put on a little bit of extra and we got through a meeting or we got through a difficult networking opportunity or something. And so we can be a bit seduced by the idea that this could work for us. But what we notice is if we start to rely on this idea that I can fake it through, which is a bit like pretense or trickery, or, it actually doesn't last. And there's a whole sort of connotation here around the word faking, and language really matters. We're really big on language and it's what it means to me. So when we employ the word fake, we're already down the path of something that's cheap or throwaway or plastic, and so that talking to ourselves, it's not resourcing or sustaining us around confidence. It's hoping that we'll, magically be able to get through this really difficult situation through this idea of faking.
Yeah, I think scenarios where it does work is where you actually really do have what you need, but maybe you still got some self-doubt and you're going to put that to the side and I'm just going to get on with it, right? And so for us, we'll talk more about these, but that's actually small acts of confidence. That's being able to go forward even when you don't have 100% certainty, even when you don't have 100% confidence, even when there is some self-doubt, right? I think if we come over to scenarios where you really are faking it, that's a recipe for disaster, because when we communicate, we are communicating on multiple levels, right? We're communicating with our words, our body, our tone, our energy. And so people feel all of those points of communication. It is very difficult to fake all of that all in one go. So and we've all been on the other ends of this, where someone is saying one thing, but we are experiencing a very different message. We're receiving something very different. There's an incongruence there. And so in those scenarios, that person who may be saying one thing with their words, but actually something very different with their actions, their body language, their tone, is actually impacting and damaging their personal brand. And so I think this piece around starting to think about this, perhaps a little more deeper than jumping on the advice trap here and say, just fake it till you make it. It's not as easy as that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that people feel us energetically. We are exchanging on a whole lot of layers. And so when we rely on this, I'm just going to bolster up and push through and do something, the energy underneath that is quite fraught. It's quite worried. It's conveying, I don't know. Potentially I'm very scared. And all of that energetic exchange is going on at the same time. So, we often really counsel people to be aware of what's going on for them and to be actually able to feel that place of connection on all of those levels. So we are in good exchange with others. And I think when you start to unpack this and you understand, if you could, which you can't, but if you could fake all those layers at once, oh my God, the exhaustion, the energy it would take, even the little bit of faking feels hard. It feels exhausting after we've been almost like in a fight or flight situation, so our whole adrenal system's been up and then it crashes down. And very often the very act of trying to do something when you don't really feel as though you've got that leads to a sense of imposter syndrome. Like I am not meant to be here. I don't have what it takes. So it's almost like the faking it can actually reinforce the very thing that we're frightened of. And I think that's why when we look at this topic, we really counsel people and think about how can we do this differently. And the first place we start is shining a spotlight. What are the situations? What are the places? Because once you get conscious awareness of where you start to feel uncomfortable, like you might need to fake it, like an imposter, if you're sort of falling short in a situation, when you notice that, it's really good to dig in, to start to unpack and to see what lies beneath the surface. What is the fear? What are you actually worried about? What expectations do you have of yourself that are maybe unrealistic? Because the more we can unpack that, the easier it's going to be to do something about it that is sustainable.
Yeah, I think they're the signals for you to go a little bit deeper, to get beneath the surface, to ask yourself some really good questions. I think they then point you in various directions. If there's a fear, it's to really dig beneath some of the stories that we're telling ourselves around that, right-size the fear, challenge some of the expectations. A big piece here, and we talk about this in Active Confidence, Module 1, Get Clear and Make Decisions, is get clear about what is expected of you in a scenario. In our experience, we're overstating, or we have this higher level of expectation on ourselves than what often anyone else ever has on us. And so your ability just to bring conscious awareness to what is it that I'm expecting? What's the bar that I'm expecting myself to deliver to here? And is that fair? Is that reasonable? Is anybody else expecting that of me? And then just right-sizing that allows us to potentially be exactly where we need to be, right? To step into, I don't need to fake anything because I'm exactly where I need to be. And then the third thing we'll say here, and this is the cornerstone of our work, it's why the Acts of Confidence program is so powerful. And it's to take imperfect action, to take small acts of confidence, because it's on the other side of action that we have more information. It's on the other side of being willing to step in when we don't have 100% certainty, to be clear about what our role is in potentially in a scenario. So I don't need to fake it, that actually I'll reinforce to myself, my body, my nervous system, my brain, that actually this is all okay.
I'm going to leave it there. If this is something that's really piqued your interest, I invite you to come over to our page or our YouTube channel and learn more about our content. If you'd like to go deeper with your relationship with Core Confidence, check out our website, coreconfidence.com.au.